Hello. So today I want to share with you a conversation that I had with a client this week. And I've had this conversation with enough clients at this point that I thought this would be something worthwhile to share because my guess is that many of you are going through the same thing. And that is this idea of chasing time and overworking, working all day, working all night, working on the weekend, and just sort of continuing that cycle of overwork, of exhaustion, depletion, and maybe even burnout. And this came up in the context of a conversation with my client who really came to me for a totally separate issue. And we were talking about what got in the way of her doing the homework that we talked about. And she was like, honestly, I just don't have time. I work all night, every night. And actually one of her goals was to stop working every night, to give herself a break 1 night a week, 2 nights a week to start. And she didn't do it. And when I said why, it was because she feels like she can't. She feels like she doesn't have control over her schedule. There's so much work. They're short-staffed, like so many companies are right now because of the Great Resignation. And there's nobody really to delegate the work to. And so she feels like she has to stay up at night after she's worked all day and then done her second shift, so to speak, with her kids, and then continue to work after she puts them to bed. And I know many of you feel the same way. And I know that because I talk to a lot of people who tell me that they feel this way. And frankly, I feel this way sometimes. And this is a pattern of behavior, a conditioned behavior that I'm still trying to break myself of. And I think it's especially predominant in professions where time is a commodity. And so we want to convert this idea of chasing time to replenishing energy. And we talk a lot about time management and how to manage time. And I think it's really more of an energy management issue, but we don't realize that. So we just think if we keep just chasing time, creating more work, trying to get ahead, that we'll break the cycle, and we never do. And it's because energetically, we're stuck in that cycle. And so here's what I mean by that. Neuroscientifically, our thoughts create our feelings, and our feelings create our actions, and our actions create our results. And so when we talk about chasing time, it's really about energy management, and energy management is always about thought management, because the thought is the thing that sets all of those other pieces in motion. And so my client, her predominant thought at night when she sits down with her laptop to open it up, when faced with the choice of, am I going to work tonight or am I not going to work tonight, was telling herself, I don't have control, I don't have any choice, I have to do this. I feel stuck, I feel like I don't have any agency, I just have to do it. There is so much work. And that created a feeling of exhaustion and depletion and lack of control, and also resentment. She talked a lot about resentment, which I thought was pretty self-aware to recognize that that's what's coming up for her. But that resentment piece is really strong, really strong. And the action that the thought and that feeling causes her to take is to keep working every night and every weekend. Except for Thursday, at which point she's so burnt out that she's like, screw it, I'm not working tonight. But that's not energy replenishment, that's burnout. So that doesn't count. And then the result is that the next day, she's tired, she still feels depleted and burnt out, and she's not focused, she's not as productive as she wants to be because she's feeling this heavy emotion of not only exhaustion, but also resentment. And then she gets distracted by that, and she sometimes even searches on the internet for other jobs, something as far away from what she's doing as possible. And I'm sure that that resonates with many of you. And so what does that do? The effect of that, the result of that, is that she doesn't get enough done during the day, and then she's up later at night, that next night, doing work that she didn't complete because she wasn't focused and she wasn't productive. So this is how we create these patterns of behavior, and it's really all about changing our thoughts and examining our thoughts. And when I asked her to do that, how much do you actually need to do the thing that you're about to do right now? Does it have to get done right now? Sometimes it does. Sometimes there's a deadline. Sometimes there's an obligation. Sometimes you've made a commitment. Not always. So we really have to challenge our thoughts. We tend to believe every thought that we have, and most of our thoughts are not true. And so I even had a woman say to me a couple weeks ago, she said, you know, this was the lawyer, and she said, it's like the patient is on the table and the patient is dying. That's how big this issue is. That's how I need to solve this problem right now. She said, literally, the patient is on the table dying. And I said, well, the patient is not literally on the table dying because you're not a doctor, you're a lawyer, and there is no patient. And so this is not literally a matter of life and death. And so, but we tell ourselves these things, and then it sort of gets us all amped up in terms of the pressure and the time sensitivity and the urgency, and we think we have to respond to every email and every question right away, and oftentimes we don't. So we have to start reality testing our thoughts. And so with my client, I asked her what thought, we talked a lot about energy replenishment and how you can either create more energy as you go throughout your day, or you can drain your energy more quickly than you otherwise might based on how you think and how you're showing up in reaction to certain situations. And I have another video on that I will link down below that's sort of more of a primer. And so I asked her, you know, thinking about energy in that way, when you're sitting on your sofa at night faced with that choice of, am I going to work tonight or not? What could that new thought be? If you challenge yourself to say, like, do I need to work right now? What do I really need in this moment? What could that new thought be? And she said she wanted her new thought to be, I don't need to chase time. I don't need to overwork. What I need is to replenish my energy. And when she thought that, which in most cases is actually true, more true than the other thought, she felt more calm and she felt more relaxed and more at ease. And the action that created was taking a night off, giving herself some self-care, decompressing, refilling her cup, creating more energy. And the result of that would be getting a better night's rest, being more productive, being more focused, being able to make decisions from a place of clear-headedness and from calm the next day so that she can try and break this cycle of overworking. And so this is really a big part of leadership, right? Not just leading ourselves, but setting an example for other people and inspiring other people to really take ownership over their work experience. And so if you're caught in this cycle of overwork, try to think about what pieces of control you actually do have, because you have so much more control than you think. And the solution is not necessarily to go to get a new job, because if you're going to do that without changing the repeated behaviors, you might just find yourself in the same place. So if you were to think about it that way, think really critically and reality test the thoughts that you're having at night when you're overworking, or maybe that's late in the afternoon or early in the morning, whatever that looks like for you. Challenge yourself to reality check that thought and see if it's actually, if you really need to work, and think about what you might want to replace that thought with so that you can stop the cycle of repeated behavior, the conditioned behavior.